Hey, everybody, it's Victor Pisano here for another great interview. We've got Kelsey Stewart with us. We're going to go back into that whole discussion of the series, Building a Champion's Mindset. And, having Kelsey here is a perfect example of somebody who has invested so much in her career and committed herself to her dream. She is going to be part of what is now the 2021 Olympic Team USA softball team. I got to know her when she was a part of the Texas Charge in the NPF and have admired her career from Florida all the way to today and was really looking forward to this summer, as I know she was. But hey, we're Team USA. Adverse situation, we're going to turn an obstacle into an opportunity. We're going to move forward. But to know her and to watch her play, you see the level of commitment. And the love and the passion she has for the game is extremely contagious. So I am absolutely humbled to have her here as part of our series today. Let me throw out a few of your accolades because, Kelsey, this is a very, very impressive list. So as I mentioned, part of the Team USA softball team, played professionally for 4 years, graduate of the University of Florida where you excelled both on and off the field. Listen to these stats, people. 2-time national champion, so she's got the bling, conference player of the year, 2-time first team all SEC, that's kind of a small conference that doesn't win very often, 2-time All-American, and this is my favorite, an elite group at Florida, elite, like you need a ticket to get in. So she ended her career with 300 hits, 200 runs, and 100 stolen bases. People, that's in 4 years at Florida. That's not over her career. That's 4 years at Florida. That's a very elite group. Tell me that didn't come with a little bit of effort, Kelsey.
Yeah, none at all, actually. Just kidding. I mean, gosh. I actually didn't even know that stat until the other day. I did a little interview with little girls with the 12-member team, and they told me that stat, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
because at some point, I think every athlete is like, my batting average is pretty good, or I'm hitting some doubles this season. In your case, you're going to count the hits. You know what your on base percentage is, but okay, you're not ever really thinking runs. The stolen bases is a high number, but wow, like that's pretty impressive. So
Yeah,
you don't even know.
it
It
is
makes you feel great,
actually.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I was like, "Well, I did something at Florida."
So let me ask you, out of those 4 years with 2 national championships, uh, tell me that's something you dreamed of. Not only are you playing for the University of Florida, not only do you win one, but then you come back and win another. Was that just amazing?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I like to tell a story. Like my freshman year of college, we have like at the beginning our athletic director, who was very involved, Jeremy Foley. He does like an athlete dinner. So like I remember I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like all these athletes, like how cool is this? We get there and the first thing he sets on stage, and the first thing he said is, when you come to the University of Florida, our expectation is you compete for championships. If that isn't your goal, then you don't need to be here. And I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. Oh
You're
my
like,
gosh. So winning that first natty, obviously unbelievable. But then to do it back to back. So on top of that, being part of that elite group, like not many people have back to back. And you can't even say like the freshman class coming in, they just won one, where like there was only sophomores to seniors at that time that went back to back. So like just that, like it's not even like a full team that went back to back. It's like just some of the girls. So it's
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and are you tired? Did you get to relive it last night?
Oh my gosh, did I? We had the Zoom call. We did it last Monday for 2014, and then this Monday for 2015. And it's just so crazy to see like Kate Medina, our shortstop, has a baby, and it's just like we're in all different phases of life, but all those memories come back, and we're like, get her! Like, what are you doing? So it was great. We're like saying like, that umpire sucks and stuff. It's like, yeah, we're still there.
And so for people that don't know, ESPN is re-showing some of these games, and they showed the national championship game last night. And if you are on social media, you would have thought literally Florida won again yesterday because it was flooded with all the old pictures and just to see everybody on there. I loved looking at the pictures of when it was ending, and you see Lauren and Aubrey run up, but just to see all of y'all and your faces, like it's pure. It's like a joy you can't match. Do you remember that
Literally.
last pitch like it was yesterday?
I remember going on the field and like looking at Katie and looking at Taylor, like, dude, we need 3 outs. Like, that's it. Like, just 3 outs. Like, we do this daily. You know what I mean? Like, you get 3 outs daily. And so I remember the 3, and then I remember like Lauren had her, and it was like 0-2, and I'm like, oh crap. I remember thinking, oh crap. And then I was like, just hit me the ball. And then I remember thinking, like, hit me the ball, and I'm like, oh my God, but then I won't be at the bottom of the dog pile. But like at the same time, I do not recommend being at the bottom of the dog pile because you get the cleats to the head, and exactly. Right. But I remember that from the first time, I was thinking like, oh, I won the ball. I'm thinking, but wait, I'll have to be at the top of the dog pile.
And what's funny is the pictures that
Priorities.
I saw as the dog pile is forming, like you're very strategic. Like in the picture, I see you looking like how many are left. Yeah. It's like now that you said that, yeah, I didn't even know that story. You're very strategic in that.
I was. So.
And for anybody to be on the bottom, Lauren is perfect because she literally can take y'all all off. Like when it's done.
I remember she was screaming, "Get off of me! Get off of me!"
But that's just a moment. That's like a moment in time between the 2 national championships.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Is one more satisfying than the other? I know that's a dumb question, but everyone always asks people that.
I think that they are satisfying in their own way. Our 2014 was the first ever for the University of Florida. So there's in that, and we went through an up and down kind of season. Like first time or only time I've ever been swept in my season was 2014 against Tennessee. Heather, our friends of Jacqueline, she passed away that year. So like that season was like this for us. Yeah. For 2015, we were here and we stayed here and we just rode that wave. So I think like they're different in their own aspects. Like you can go through your ups and downs, but like when you're competing at such a high level, why not stay there? And so I think that they're different, satisfying in their own way.
I think that's the beauty of it, is each one provided a different lesson. Each one was a different journey, and neither can stand apart. They're both just as satisfactory. They're just as exciting to you, and I'm sure your teammates. So last night's show, we're all just reliving it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like to even like, what were you thinking in this play, or what? Like, I remember the first inning, I got hit in the knee, and then I was safe at second, and then Nicole was at first. The runners at first and second, and Lauren hits his ball up the middle. I just took off, and so did Nicole. And coach is like, I've never watched that play. He's like, that could have been a triple play. That could have changed the whole game. I'm like, but it didn't. Okay.
Right. Too late to rewind.
Right.
Don't they always tell you if you're going to make a decision, just do it?
Yeah. And then exactly. And it's funny, like Coach Walton, we were watching the games, and he was like, pretty sure that's enough runs to win the game here after we get like our last run. And I'm like, be quiet.
It's real confident when you get to watch the replay. Yeah. That's the horrible thing. It's like right now with nothing on ESPN, you're watching old games, but I don't care. I know the score and I know who wins, and I'm still like I'm biting my nails. I'm just like, this is the best game, and I know who wins, but it doesn't matter. That's half the fun. It's half the fun.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect transition segue into some of the questions I want to ask you. So let's jump into it this way. Based on your experience in high school, college, professional, and even now as the elite of the elite, as an Olympic athlete, the skill of balance is something that so many athletes struggle with at each of those levels. Now, I have known nothing about the Olympic level, but I can imagine that setting a routine and finding balance in your life has got to be a huge challenge with everything that's being asked of you. Now throw in the obstacle of the Olympics being postponed, it only adds more. So this is kind of a two-part question. One, how do you find balance? And two, how do you recommend somebody at the high school level or college level work to discover balance?
Yeah, so with balance for me, it's one of those things where I kind of have to prioritize. So whether that's family time, softball, meditation, things for myself, self-care, things like that. It's kind of prioritized, but like I know kind of now at 25, like what those look like. So I have to take care of myself and able to give my all in something I love, like softball. But I also have to take care of myself in order to give myself to my family and my friends and be emotionally available, be physically there for them. So self-care has been something that I've really been zoning in on. And with the Olympics coming up, it's nice kind of in a way that it's been postponed for the simple fact of I know what to expect at this point. We got about a month and a half of touring. And so at that time, like I was like trying to balance like, okay, I was playing softball all day, every day, and I was traveling all day, every day. So like it was one of those things where like I sometimes wouldn't call my mom and I'm like, okay, this is not okay. You know, I'm a mama's girl, daddy's girl. So like I need to talk to my parents daily. So like it's nice now that I'm like, okay, well, I know now like what to expect. So like, okay, maybe I need to wake up an hour earlier so I can talk to my mom that day or do things like that. And like really learning myself, I think is what really changed that. And then I think the advice to people like younger kids I would give is kind of like prioritize, like get your schoolwork done. So if you want to go socialize with your friends on the weekend, that's one less thing you have to worry about and you can stay an hour longer with them. Or if you want to go to softball or you play softball and you do basketball and you both travel for them, okay, which one are you going to prioritize so that no one's feelings are hurt when it comes down to it? Like, okay, I said I was going to play softball. So if I have a softball game and a basketball game at the same time, like softball is my priority, so that's where I'm going. But then there's no confusion and communication and all those things.
How many sports did you play?
I played softball and basketball competitively. Then I did volleyball, track, all that. Cheerleading.
Yeah, no balance. The best you could, but hardly any balance. So as you got older, did you learn to say no?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge thing is learning to say no and like accepting that it's okay to say no. You know, like I think that was a big thing for me on tour is like I was starting to spread myself too thin. Like I was trying to make everyone happy when in reality I needed to take care of myself so that I could give my best for my teammates. So that word no is super important. I think Haley McClinney, that's something we both learned on tour is like no, and it's okay to say no. And I mean, like, it's more for self-care rather than you just don't like those people or you just don't want to do it. It's more like, no, like I need to rest. Like I just had a 2-a-day. Like I simply just need to rest and like people will understand.
And I think that's the challenge is you've got the rigors of the expectations that Team USA has. And that comes with interviews and that comes with media. And then on top of it, you have the other requests. And it's got to be draining because like you talked about, y'all were on the road and it was a tour and it was a lot of travel and it was a lot of hotel rooms. You were packed and ready to go. So free time, if you had it, was cherished.
Right. And like there's times too where we just had 2 games in a day and we don't sign autographs that night because we have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And obviously that's something really hard for us because there's girls that might not be coming back tomorrow or that's the only time they see us. But at the same time, like we have to realize as fans, but also as players that like our goal at the end of all this is a gold medal in Tokyo. After that gold medal in Tokyo, I will stay 10 hours after and make sure every single girl gets an autograph. Like, do I want to do it now? Absolutely. I'm not trying to be rude when I say no. But at the end of the day, like there's one goal in mind. And these are just things that like we get to do. This is our privilege that we get like little girls looking up to us and we get to sign autographs or they have our jersey on. Like, I want to take pictures with every single person. I really do. But like at the end of the day, like it really is hard. Like people don't understand, but it really is hard.
It's a job. It's a full-time job, and it's not 40 hours
Absolutely.
a week. It's an excess, and it's 7 days a week, and you're on call 24/7. And I'm sure that's something you're challenged with because I can remember just in the NPF, you literally were like, "Where are the Sharpies?" And I'll be the last to leave. Like this is fun. I love taking pictures. I love talking to the kids. So it is different from playing in the NPF to then going with Team USA because there's so much more structure and order and you're training. Like the games are great, but it's right here and it's making sure the chemistry is there because you got a job to do when you go to Tokyo. It's not just, tournament play. So your focus has to be there. And you saying no, and I'm sure the staff having to say no a lot of times is
Mhm.
difficult. But that's
Absolutely.
part of being elite. That's part of being
Yeah.
elite. What positive lessons, as both an elite high school player and college player, have you taken with you that gave you this incredible opportunity to be a part of the Olympics? What lessons along the way? What characteristics? What traits? What built you up to be so successful at this point?
Yeah, I would say high school, things were honestly kind of easy for me. Like I got recruited early. I had my future kind of set. I think the hardest thing for that in high school was sacrifices. That's when I had to learn what really sacrificing things is for everyone. So missing prom, missing homecoming to go to a tournament, things like that. That was like kind of a wake up call for me. It was like, okay, how bad do I really want it? Like, do I want to be okay? Do I want to be great? Or do I want to be elite? Like, it was really up to me. So that's where I learned sacrificing and those things. And then I think in college, I learned what it meant to be a good teammate. Um, what I've learned in college was like, yeah, like you said, I have 300 hits and all of those things, but none of my teammates remember that. We last night we talked about all we were talking about is the memories, and like I think that's something that I preach to my little girls is like be a good teammate. Like it doesn't matter if you're 0 for 4, it doesn't matter if you're 4 for 4. Be consistent in who you are as a teammate. And I think college also taught me how to respond to failure and respond to no's because until I got to college, like I rarely got out. And like in college, I didn't get out a lot either, but people got scouting reports on me. So then they were pitching to my weakness and doing all those things. So having a short memory and bouncing back and changing the way I did things to be successful, I think really helped me. And then that just kind of sent me to onto the Olympic team is those characteristics of being a good teammate, short memory, changing the narrative, and when being told no, because technically when I'm getting out, I'm being told no, that didn't work. How am I going to be successful? And I think that's something for the outside world too. Like you're going to be told no a lot, and that's what I'm learning as an adult. Like no is just a common word. Like you get told as a child, and it just comes back when you're an adult. And it's like, okay, well, how can I change my narrative to get what I want?
I like the changing the narrative because we can interpret something as negative, or we can take it in and find a way to process it to be a competitive advantage. And changing the narrative is it's a discipline skill because you literally have to take in what you hear, process it, and find where that lining is. And I think that's what separates good from great players is the ability to process that so quickly. And you talked about, being great teammates, and those were the stories you talked about last night. The credibility there is that's what won you 2 national championships is as much as the skill on the field was the trust and the belief that each of you had in each other, right?
Absolutely. I think what that's kind of what the difference was for me from college to USA. It's like USA, this is my 7th year on the team, and the team is constantly changing. Like there hasn't been one year. This will be the first year going into 2021 where the team is exactly the same. So even though the team changes every single year in college, it's just a couple girls here and there, but like the majority of your team is the same. So like I knew my shortstop, I knew my first baseman, I knew my pitchers. Like I just had to relearn maybe 1 or 2 people a year. Like it wasn't had to relearn a team. So I think that's something that definitely is different between from college and USA, where USA I kind of just had like we were just competing. Like that simple fact, like we were competing. And I think when we went on tour, we started to get to know each other. Like today we've been doing weekly TED Talks, and like I taught everyone how to do a TikTok, and like it's like fun. Like your teammates are buying into who you are as a person and like having fun with you. And I think like that's the chemistry that people forget on championship teams. Like even with like the Last Dance that we've been watching, like Michael Jordan and those teams winning, like their chemistry is unbelievable. The way that they can talk to each other, no one gets hurt. Like I love it so much.
Okay, so Haley did nutrition, right? For her TED Talk. What have you done yours yet?
Yeah.
And what was yours?
I did TikTok today. I taught everyone how to do a TikTok because I'm really into like the social media stuff and dancing and all that. So I'm like, what's a better way to meet? Yes, exactly. Whoa.
Yeah. Trust
have
me,
a
I
really
have
cool
attempted
video.
it with my kids, and sometimes I worry that that's out there. And if it is, it's going to come back to haunt me in some ways. They're like, Dad, this is so easy. I'm like, that's choreographed. It's not easy. And my body doesn't move like that anymore. But it's true. I'll
Yeah,
go because like everybody says, charge up needs to be on TikTok. Can't
it
do it.
does.
Like I can't dance. You got to dance or voice people. I don't know.
Yeah.
You really, so how many people didn't understand TikTok? Like Kat, no way understood TikTok. I don't know with her
Well,
daughter,
she has
maybe.
yeah, she with her daughter, so she kind of understood it. I have like
Okay.
a video. I'm gonna have to send it to you later. It's good. My whole team is on there, and we're all TikToking.
Okay. I'm proud of
I
y'all.
had to slow it down with them, but it was good. We did good. We nailed it, I think.
So you definitely 5 stars on your TED Talk day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see who's gotten second place at this point.
Oh,
What did you learn the
Val's
most?
was so Val's was so good. Like,
What was
take
it?
care of yourself. She did self care, and so she
Wow.
gave ways to self care and journaling and like kind of rating your scale of like what you're putting in, like what time you're putting into different things. So like, oh, like my family's on the outside, but I want them to be closer to more of my time. So like, what do I need to adjust in my self care to make sure I'm prioritizing this? It was fantastic
So
to
you
get,
put
and
it
then
into
like,
application?
Val, she's very outgoing. So the
Yeah.
way she was talking to us and just like, you could do it or you don't have to do it, but you gonna do it, and it's like just Val. So it makes it 10 times better.
Y'all all just glued to the screen, like, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I promise.
If you don't know, we'll do it. We swear.
Yeah. We're all in. You don't have to worry
She's like,
about that.
you can do it or you'll die, but whatever.
She should be looking at the side when y'all get back on that bus. Are you doing it? I'm doing it. I promise I'm doing it. Okay.
I swear.
I just want to make sure. One of the things that is pretty apparent right now with COVID is there's so many obstacles for people, and there's stress and there is uncertainty. Uncertainty leads to fear. Fear of the unknown is something that's consumed so many student athletes. My question to you is, from the wisdom you've gained, do you have an approach now when you come to a situation and recognize the obstacle or the mountain that's in your way, knowing that it's a tremendous challenge? Do you do it through mental skills? Do you do it through approaching the situation a certain way? Do you have a routine? What advice can you give for people who right now going through an adverse situation and learning that if you can't control it, you got to let it go?
Yeah. So like I kind of have two life mottos. One of them being so what, and then the other one is control the controllable. And those are kind of things that as an athlete you have to learn, but they also can apply outside your life. Like control the controllables, like you can't control this disease going on. You can't control that you're in the house, but you can do things in the house that'll make you better regardless. You can't control if the NCAA wasn't going to give you a year or not. Those are things you couldn't control. But there's so many opportunities. Like I told one of the groups last week, like everyone is on the computer right now. Like there's so many, like those emails that they weren't answering, they're probably going to answer now. So like I've been sending out hundreds of emails to people, like asking them to donate to USA Softball, just do things like that. Like people that might have been spam, like they're bored, so they're looking at emails. So I think taking advantage of those opportunities right now, that like everyone is in your situation. It's not just you. Like everyone is dealing with the same thing. So I think that is something. And then like, so what? Like, okay, like the COVID happened, like, so what? Now what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to get better? How are you going to really go to that next level while you're stuck in the house?
Yeah, because I see right now as an opportunity to gain a competitive advantage, because
Absolutely.
the majority of people are going to jump to their comfort zone. They're going to say, you know what, nobody's really working out right now. Nobody's practicing right now. I'm just going to kind of take it easy. But I think for those people who realize, okay, you know what, like that's the comfort zone people. That's 99%. This is my chance. Like I might not have been to the level that I needed to be. This is when I'm going to do it. And I've had such a good time watching some of the innovative ways that a lot of these, especially high school athletes, have learned to train.
Yeah.
with milk jugs or just anything they can find, going up the stairs at their house, just doing different things. But it's like, that's how to do it. You got to be innovative. You can either
Then,
say excuse or how do I get over that?
yeah, one of my favorite things too is like the little kids, like they're learning all the games that like I played when I was little, like King of the Court and wall ball and things like that, that like they've just forgotten about because of technology, but now they're bored, so they're going outside. But little did they know, like wall ball, that's a great infield drill, like great
Heck
infield drill and
yeah.
things like that. So it's really cool to see. I agree.
It's bad when the kids are like, I'm so sick of Netflix. You're like,
You're right. I think I
wow.
watched all of Netflix.
Exactly. Right? It's like I need part two. I need 2.0 because
Yeah,
1.0 is
exactly.
finished. So who's had the biggest impact on you? Who is somebody who has contributed to the success that you've experienced?
I mean, I obviously think my parents, right? They raised me who I am. They've taught me everything I know. My dad is my hitting coach, my life coach. Literally everything I need, that is my dad. But outside of my family, I would 100% say Coach Walton. He's really turned me into the player and the woman I am today. Just little things that I didn't even notice about myself that he was able to point out, because for 4 years, that was like my family away from my home. So outside of my mom and dad, like that was someone that's still to this day very influential in my life and really helped me grow as not only a player, but I love that he invested in my life as well.
I've been so impressed. I've had the opportunity to meet him at NFCA, but I would love to get to know him. And I feel like I got to cheat through Brett Ledbetter and What Drives Winning, and watching the stories of Brett working with Coach Walton to build some of the things that each of you were a part of. And
Yeah,
he just seems like he has humility, and he's very nurturing and protective of his team and each of you.
absolutely.
High expectations, but high love. And a lot of people don't use
Absolutely.
that love word. They're like, no, we got work to do. We'll love later. He's like, no, we'll love now, and we're going to be fine because you'll know what I expect, and you'll do it. And that's where that
Yeah,
chemistry comes from.
and I think speaking of Brett, he kind of changed the narrative a little bit at Florida whenever he was talking about softball, something you do, it's not who you are. So it's kind of one of those things like when Coach Walton is yelling at you on the field, it's not necessarily what he thinks of you as a person. Like, you just kind of suck today, period. You know what I mean? But that's not what he thinks of you as a person. And I think like that's something that was really driven into us as players. And I think lots of people, whether that's pros, whatever you do, like you do sports for majority of your life. Like that's all you know. And so to be able to really distinguish between person and player will, I think, help after sports. Like lots of athletes don't know what to do like after their sport because their identity is wrapped up into their sport. So I think that's something that's just unbelievable.
I'm glad you said that. One of the things that Haley talked about was after leaving Alabama, she was like, nobody recognized me anymore. I was like, I was a normal person, and I was just part of everybody. And she goes, for a little while, I was like, I miss that. I miss being part of a successful team. I miss working towards a goal. I miss being on a team that is known for every sport, but yet everyone loves softball there, that they recognize you. And she said that was a struggle. And she was really honest and vulnerable about that. And I had so many comments afterward from people who had watched that video, and they said, I didn't know that an athlete would ever have to struggle with their identity at that level because like they have accomplished everything. But I think it's the inverse. Yeah, they accomplished everything. Their gas tank is empty. They gave so
Yeah.
much that when you're done and you walk out, it's almost like okay, I forgot who I was. Like, who am I and how do I
Yeah.
act?
I think lots of more athletes need to normalize that because I think lots of athletes actually struggle with that. And I think lots of people struggle with that in general. And I love like Dwayne Wade, whenever he retired, he kind of came out and he was like, I'm going to need like a lot of counseling. Like that's all he's known is basketball. And so I think that that's something that does need to be normalized because I think getting the help for that or starting early in your career, whether you're 10 years in or 5 years in, whatever it is, I think that that will help athletes in general with their mental health. Because I think that like that's all we know. Like you said, we give blood, sweat, and tears 24/7 to what we do. And so to like just all of a sudden be like, it's no longer there, whether that's what we chose or someone chose for us, like it really is tough.
Because it's a disciplined routine, and you've been on a narrow road with a singular focus. And the day the door
Yeah.
opens, you're like a horse that has no clue what they're doing in the pasture. They just get to run.
Yeah, I remember when I graduated college, like I was busy I swear every second of every day when I was in college. But when I got out of college, like I didn't wake up till 11. I didn't have anything till 4. You know, like I had all this time and like all these, like I didn't know what to do with myself. So I think that's something too. It's like just normalize it for people. Like there has to be a transition, and it is tough. Like just because we're athletes doesn't mean everything, you know.
But then you went to the Pride.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me how bad the beaches were? You had a great time. I know the whole, I didn't know what to do with myself. How about I just join a badass team in Florida, play professionally, and the beach just happens to be right here. Works
Just
perfectly.
happened to be there, yeah. So that was a nice part. That was a good year, first out, you know.
If you're going to do it, that's how you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you come to Texas where it's so dang hot. You're just like, this is
Oh,
crazy.
melting my cleats. That's how hot it is.
And it was crazy because, you know, we talk about the effort and the commitment you've got to make to be a part of this Olympic team. I can still remember now how many times we literally would put you on a plane to go compete with the Olympic team. And then you would come into town and be able to play a weekend home stretch or even an away.
Yeah.
And then you would leave again. And like I was exhausted just watching your schedule. Like I didn't have to do it. I just got to stay with the team. But you were literally playing professional and Olympic ball at the same time. In some cases, like crossing time zones and oceans. Was that just so difficult to manage?
I mean, I enjoyed it because I love to do it. But I think travel days do have an effect on you, and traveling that much, like people don't realize like traveling is not an off day. Like it takes a lot out of you too. And I think people confuse that it's an off day, but it's not an off day. I have a lot of respect for baseball players and basketball players because they do travel a lot as well, and they're just expected to have an A game whenever they land in that city. So that was kind of my first experience with something like that, where I was flying everywhere, trying to play softball at the highest level, flying to Japan and then back to play pro.
Right.
So it was hard, but it was 100% worth it.
So let's close here. And being that we're getting so close to graduation for seniors, both in high school and in college, if you had the opportunity to hand out one trait, one characteristic to every senior that's graduating that they could carry with them for the rest of their lives, what would you give them?
I would give them like where they are kind to everyone. So it doesn't matter background, skin color, no matter what, they're literally kind to everyone, and they give a little piece of themselves to everyone every single time they meet someone.
I love it. You know, for me, I'm gratitude 365 because you talked about karma, and I think kindness works in the same way of gratitude.
Absolutely.
And the more you give, you're going to get it back tenfold. At times you don't recognize it, but I think that's a great answer. I love that. That's a trait that you can be most fulfilled forever, is just with a heart filled with kindness.
I agree with that for sure.
You threw some good stuff out today, Kelsey. I want to thank you big time.
No, thank you.
The whole point of the Building Champions mindset is taking athletes and letting them know that as much as you focus on your skills, as much as you work on trying to be a superior athlete, you got to understand that it's a 360 approach. There's so many other parts that go with it. And in building a champion's mindset, it doesn't just mean doing the mental reps. It means understanding what you talked about. You're not defined by your sport. Don't ever value yourself based on performance. It's discovering the leader within and then eliciting greatness out of others. But most importantly, it's understanding the most important time is now. Like live in the moment, because the circumstances can always change. And we just saw that for the first time ever. So you being a part of this and sharing your experience. I sincerely appreciate it because you've been successful at all levels. And on behalf of Charge Up, we'll be rooting for USA softball. And I can't wait to see you back out on the field. But thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Charge up.
Charge up. You take care, Kelsey. Thank you.
You too.